Mac stood up, it was a chilling moment. What comes to mind is a cold-blooded killer.
Tonight, a man who met Brian Coberger is speaking out ahead of the confessed killer's sentencing. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. The man who admits he killed 4 college students in Idaho is expected in court tomorrow for sentencing. Fox's Kennedy Hayes is in Boise tonight, where many people want more answers about this case that's drawn nationwide attention.
Brian Coberger pleaded guilty earlier this month. It was part of a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. Now tomorrow, inside this courthouse, we'll hear victim impact statements, but it's still unclear if Coberger will speak. Now, President Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday saying in part, "I hope the judge makes Coberger at a minimum explain why he did these horrible murders. There are no explanations. There is no nothing. People were shocked that he was able to plea bargain, but the judge should make him explain what happened." The plea deal means there will not be a trial. Coberger admitted to sneaking into a home in Moscow, Idaho in November 2022 and stabbing 4 University of Idaho students to death, some as they slept. He pleaded guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and a burglary charge back on July 2nd, just weeks before his trial was set to begin. Prosecutors say the former criminology student studied how to commit and cover up violent crimes. Investigators tied Coberger to the crime scene through surveillance footage, cell phone data, and DNA found on a knife sheath. Now he's expected to receive 4 life sentences with no chance of parole, plus 10 additional years as he waived his right to appeal or seek a reduced sentence. At a hearing last week, Judge Stephen Hippler lifted a year-long gag order in the case, saying the order's main purpose, to protect a potential jury, no longer applies now that there's no trial. The move came after media outlets, including Fox, petitioned for its removal. But even without the gag order, legal experts say we may never truly understand why Coberger did it.
We were never going to get that information. The chances that we would have learned exactly why or what he was thinking were zero. That wasn't going to happen in a trial, and it's not going to happen in a sentencing hearing.
The sentencing starts at 9 a.m. local time tomorrow and could last all day. In Boise, Idaho, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
And now that the judge's gag order has been lifted in this case, we are hearing from people who have interacted with Coberger.
He was not particularly personable. He didn't have a fluid way of communicating.
Washington State University Police Chief Gary Jenkins says Coberger interviewed for an internship with his department months before the killings. Tonight, he's offering insight on searches that were carried out at Coberger's home and graduate assistant's office on campus.
His apartment was very sparse. There was very little there, almost to the point where it appeared that the previous occupant had not intended to return.
And that sentencing hearing in this case may stretch into Thursday due to the number of people who are expected to make victim impact statements. In Southern California, we have an update on the man accused of intentionally driving his car into a crowd of people outside of an East Hollywood nightclub. The LA County DA's office today charged 29-year-old Fernando Ramirez with 37 counts of attempted murder and 37 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. Authorities say Ramirez tried to leave that scene, and when police eventually found him, they could see that he had been shot. That crash on Saturday injured nearly 24 people outside that nightclub. We also have a sad update to tell you about tonight about LA County's Eaton Fire. The death toll from that tragedy back in January has now gone up after Monday's discovery of additional human remains in the fire zone. Special operations response teams working now to identify the victim that was discovered, and this brings the Eaton Fire's death toll up to 19. 12 other people died in January's Palisades fire. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman says the man accused of killing an American Idol supervisor and her husband used the couple's gun in those murders. According to TMZ, DA Hochman made that revelation during a community meeting that was held last night. He also said the suspect called police after the killings. Investigators believe Raymond Budarian shot Robin Kay and Thomas DeLuca as the couple arrived home unexpectedly in the middle of a burglary. Budarian is now facing several charges, including 2 counts of murder. Fox News has reached out to the DA's office to comment on TMZ's report, and we are still waiting for a response tonight. One of the Menendez brothers is being treated tonight for what's being described as a serious medical condition. TMZ has confirmed that Eric Menendez has kidney stones and is getting treatment at a hospital outside of the prison. His attorney says he has now asked Governor Newsom to furlough him from prison so that he can continue treatment from home. This, of course, comes just 1 month before the brothers are set to appear at a parole board hearing that could see them released after serving 30 years in prison for the murders of their parents.
There is a situation where he could be furloughed and then paroled and never walk into that prison ever again.
Attorney Mark Garagos called Eric Menendez's condition serious. There's no word yet on whether California Governor Gavin Newsom will allow that furlough to be granted. In the Bay Area, protesters gathered today outside of a meeting of the Contracasta County Board of Supervisors that was focused on how local officials there interact with federal immigration authorities.
Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
Protesters demanded local law enforcement end all cooperation with ICE as the Trump administration has ramped up immigration enforcement lately. During the annual Truth Act forum held in Martinez, Sheriff David Livingston said that the Sheriff's Department has received 578 requests from ICE last year for information related to detaining people, and they made 132 notifications. The sheriff said notifications are only made for serious or violent felons.
As sheriff, it astounds me that people would actually advocate to release sex offenders, rapists, murderers, burglars, theft, sexual assault, child molest.
I get the argument, but they're prior convictions.
I am not going to do that.
Advocates called on the county to create an ordinance to stop sharing any information with ICE. A federal judge has refused to delay a decision on whether a Washington state woman will face the death penalty. 21-year-old Teresa Youngblood is accused of shooting and killing a U.S. Border Patrol officer during a traffic stop in Vermont back in January. Youngblood's attorneys must explain why prosecutors should not seek the death penalty by July 28th. Youngblood is known to be part of the cult-like group known as the Zizzians that's been connected to 6 killings across 3 different states. Well, large crowds are expected for this year's Comic-Con in San Diego, and that has law enforcement preparing for the possibility of an uptick in crime. As Fox 5's Jamie Chambers reports tonight, sex trafficking is one concern.
Comic-Con is a celebration of creativity, celebrity, and costumes rolled into a chaotic downtown party. But while tens of thousands swarm into the convention center and the Gaslamp Quarter to have fun, San Diego's Human Trafficking Task Force has been activated to shut down the illicit side of what happens when a huge convention comes to town.
Deterrence comes with effective laws that speak clearly and say that human beings, especially our children, are not for sale.
Assembly Bill 379 has passed, promising to bring stiffer penalties to anyone delving in human trafficking.
This law will finally bring 16 and 17-year-olds under the protection of the law, where if somebody tries to buy them for sex, which is essentially to commit a sexual assault on them because they're minors, they can't consent, they can face a felony charge.
District Attorney Summer Steffen says for human traffickers, Comic-Con is big business.
They advertise them online so that when tourists come in, they see these advertisements and they make it look like it's innocent, but it's clearly not innocent. And the buyers know it's not innocent. They know that they are committing a crime. Buying a human being for sex is a criminal act.
At last year's Comic-Con, 16 people were arrested by the Human Trafficking Task Force, and Steffen says her team is only getting better all the time. Last year,
9 victims were recovered, including a 16-year-old. And that's the real win, is being able to recover these victims and get them out of this life of exploitation and violence.
And that was Fox 5's Jamie Chambers reporting tonight. More than 100,000 people are expected to head to San Diego for the Comic-Con convention.
Ozzy brought a lot of joy to a lot of people.
I'm glad he got a last tour in and everybody got to hear his music, and it influences so many people around the world. So it's just cool to see, pay respects.
And tonight, mourners are paying tribute to music legend Ozzy Osbourne at his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You see some people leaving flowers there. The former Black Sabbath singer, widely regarded as the godfather of heavy metal, has died at the age of 76. Osbourne's death comes just weeks after performing at a farewell concert in Birmingham, England, with his Black Sabbath bandmates. Later in his career, the singer became known to an entirely new generation with his reality show, The Osbournes, that featured his family life in Los Angeles. Osbourne suffered extensive health issues over the years, including substance abuse, a form of Parkinson's disease, and numerous surgeries on his spine. Osbourne is survived by his wife, Sharon Osbourne, his children, and his grandchildren. Up next tonight here on West Coast Rap, body camera footage shows first responders in Arizona performing an incredible rescue. Tonight, how they freed a motorcyclist who was pinned underneath a car.
And a live look here over the Bay Area where windshield wipers were needed during the morning commute. I'll have a look at what we can expect for the West for Wednesday coming up.
As I'm standing out in the middle of the street, I'm yelling, "Help, please somebody help me. Help, please somebody help me." I'm screaming at the top of my lungs.
Under attack by a swarm of bees. Coming up tonight, the Nevada man who survived shares what he wants everyone to know about this experience.
I got it. Hey, I got it.
This newly released video shows a police officer in Arizona saving a dog who got stuck in a canal. Glendale police got 911 calls about the dog struggling in the water last week, and when they got to the scene, they spotted the dog swimming but unable to get out of the canal. One officer jumped in and pulled the dog to safety. The dog has now been reunited with its owner. It's still unclear exactly how the dog wound up in the canal in the first place. Also tonight, we are seeing newly released video that shows first responders rescuing a motorcyclist who became pinned underneath a crashed car in Phoenix. Fox 13's Lindsay Regas spoke with one of the police officers who was involved in this rescue as they figured out a way to lift that car and free the man.
Do me a favor, keep breathing, don't move, okay? Nice and slow breaths, okay? Breathing for me, okay, bud?
Phoenix Police Sergeant Richard Jarrett's main priority as the first one on scene was to keep the pinned motorcyclist calm.
I don't know, but I was right. I'm right here with you, bud, all right? Everything's gonna be all right, dude.
On June 16th, south of 7th Street and Grover's, a motorcycle and a Buick collided. The motorcyclist ended up underneath the Buick with his head near the driver's seat.
My first thought was, oh, like, how do I get him out? But then I could see the way he was underneath the car. His leg, again, was up by his chest, and the other leg was tangled up underneath the drivetrain. So I knew that leg was clearly broken based on the way it was positioned. And so a lot goes through your mind of, like, how do I get this guy out safely?
Soon after, a Phoenix fire engine got there and firefighters quickly executed a plan.
And we decided that we were going to lift it and utilize a steel ladder as a leverage on the back end to get the most of the weight, and then the rest of us would pick up everything else. And then one firefighter was able to drag him out from underneath.
The plan worked and the motorcyclist survived.
So when we can see, hey, everything we did worked, this guy is safe, he gets to go home to his family, it's a good feeling for sure.
An incredible job by those first responders. That was Fox 10's Lindsay Regas reporting for us. And the motorcyclist you saw in that video is still recovering from a number of injuries, including that broken leg. Tonight, we're learning more about a 4-year-old child who was attacked by a mountain lion in Washington. The child was airlifted to a hospital in Seattle for treatment after being attacked on Sunday along a hiking trail in Olympic National Park. Witnesses say the animal has been collared.
It's likely that the mountain lion is part of a research project. Yeah, and so they're probably tracking its movements and its habits and activities, and trying to get a better understanding of how mountain lions are utilizing the Olympic Peninsula and so forth. I don't know for certain what type of research project it's part of. I know on the peninsula there is one project where they're just capturing cats and collaring them and trying to research how they use that habitat. When I worked for the department, sometimes if there was like an animal that had bothered livestock, we would also use it as an opportunity to capture it and put a collar on it and monitor it.
And park rangers say at this point they have, quote, dispatched the mountain lion, and that term generally refers to killing an animal. There is an ongoing investigation into what happened, and it's unclear tonight how the child is doing. A Nevada man says a bee attack left him with hundreds of stings and one of his dogs dead. He was attacked while walking his 2 dogs in Henderson back on July 9th. A swarm of bees came after them as they passed a vacant home. The man is hoping that all homeowners will learn from what he went through.
You have these vacant properties that somebody should be looking at. They would have known that something was not right.
The landlord removed several hives from the property before this attack. Clark County officials say they're working to stop the proliferation of bees in that area. Well, turning to our weather, here in the west, and rain kept temperatures cooler than usual for July in many parts of the southwest today. These images were captured in Phoenix this morning as some light rain began to fall. Wasn't a whole lot of rain, but it was enough to help stave off the region's typical triple-digit heat they're usually seeing this time of year, so it did the trick. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco, who is tracking a warm-up expected in that part of the southwest, and you have conditions across the west. Hey, Rosemary.
Yes, Alex. So here's a view over Phoenix today where that monsoonal moisture brought in that little bit of rain. Right now, you can see primarily over New Mexico and then moving into the Intermountain West, where Colorado has continued to see the afternoon thunderstorms as well. And there is still an advisory over the New Mexico area for the next few hours or so for the possibility of flash flooding. Outside of that, here in the Bay Area, you can see plenty of cloud cover. San Francisco remaining on the cool side, 65 degrees the afternoon high, a couple degrees below the average for this time of year, and a view into Southern California where it was a warm 81 degrees reported in Los Angeles. Here's a look at some of the numbers across the region. We had areas right around Las Vegas reporting 100 degrees, Palm Springs 104, but then again you get into areas like the Sacramento Valley where we could easily be in the 90s, even low 100s this time of year, only 81 degrees. There's been a trough pattern that has really kept this section of California on the cool side, and that looks to continue as we get into the coming days. 82 degrees the afternoon high in Portland, and the Pacific Northwest enjoying some nice weather. Here's a look at Seattle this afternoon, 77 degrees with partly cloudy and mostly clear skies over here for the afternoon. For tomorrow, as we roll into the afternoon, evening hours, we will continue with just the patchy fog along the coastline and drizzle along the west coast to start the day, and then break away to partly cloudy skies. Mild conditions expected for the Bay Area. A little bit of monsoonal moisture expected to pull up once again for tomorrow, but not quite as much as we saw for today. So here is a view of what we're expecting for the next few days, starting in the Pacific Northwest, where it's going to be pretty, upper 70s to low 80s Wednesday, Thursday, and then a little bit of a cool down on Friday. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Bay Area stuck in this unseasonably cool to mild pattern with morning clouds, afternoon sun, patchy drizzle, and temperatures in the 60s here. Right now, it looks like by the end of the weekend, may see some warmer weather approach the Bay Area and Southern California. Sunny skies, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Meanwhile, the Phoenix area and the desert Southwest going to be hot. Triple-digit heat expected Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. The Intermountain West will continue with the possibility of those afternoon thunderstorms and the warm weather as well. So hot and muggy for Denver, upper 80s in the forecast for the afternoons. Alex?
All right, Rosemary, thank you so much. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a small boat on a collision course with an aircraft carrier. Tonight, investigators break down what they believe went wrong here.
Oh, no way.
The driver of a small boat that crashed into the USS Midway in San Diego has been arrested. A camera captured these images of Friday's crash. Investigators say this caused about $100,000 in damage. The small boat's driver has been booked on suspicion of boating under the influence and hit and run. There were no injuries reported with this crash, and it's unclear the exact cause. The USS Midway is a decommissioned aircraft carrier that's been transformed into a museum. Bay Area Tech CEO Sam Altman is warning the banking industry about threats from artificial intelligence. The OpenAI founder told a Federal Reserve conference in Washington today that AI tools can impersonate a person's voice and could easily bypass security checks. And right now, some banks still are using voice prints to allow clients to access their accounts. The central bank's top regulator suggested a partnership to help address these threats. The CEO of Delta Airlines was questioned by lawmakers on Capitol Hill about the airline's plan to use artificial intelligence to set ticket prices. But the CEO pushed back on claims that this would violate consumer privacy, saying it's not developing technology to target customers with individualized offers based on personal data. The airline reportedly wants to use AI on 20% of its ticket sales for domestic flights by the end of this year. Stocks had a mixed finish on Wall Street today as investors monitored some signs of progress in U.S. trade talks. The Dow was up 179 points during the session. The Nasdaq slipped by 81 points, and the S&P 500 gained 4 points, adding to the record high that it set yesterday. Shares of General Motors were down by 8% after the automaker said that it expects to see a $4 to $5 billion hit to its bottom line this year, all because of tariffs. Finally tonight, Tesla is getting into the restaurant business. The company opened the Tesla Diner and Drive-In in Hollywood yesterday. CEO Elon Musk says it aims to be a futuristic retro diner and drive-in movie theater. The business pairs technology with the classic diner experience. Imagine a Tesla humanoid robot that serves food.
I'm a big Tesla and Elon fan and also a big Tesla investor, and I'd heard about this upcoming opening. It seems like a very futuristic place, and I heard the food's pretty good too, so why not?
I wanted to see the robots like Optimus. We think they're cool.
Customers can also buy Tesla merchandise. Of course, you can eat out of a Cybertruck-themed food container and, of course, charge their Teslas in the parking lot. Elon Musk says he is hoping to open more locations like this one in major cities all around the world. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. Before we head out, a quick reminder that you can stay up to date all the time on the big stories we're covering across the West Coast at our website. It's westcoastwrap.com. And don't forget to stream all of our shows on your smart TV by downloading the free Fox Local app. Beautiful shot here of the San Francisco Bay Area. Have a great night.